Good late Tuesday, early Wednesday, meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center right now, giving you a look at that current Doppler radar picture across the region. All quiet in terms of that precipitation around. You do see the temperature pretty chilly, however, out there. Looking at 43 degrees there toward the Keystone Airport area. Where we're at in a more rural spot here, east of Stark, about 39 degrees. And Cecil Field about the same there toward Duval County, a little more open there per se, 39, and areas there around Cross City. You see 38 there, Homerville, 38 Albany. So definitely chilly in spots. I mean, warmer though as you get toward like some of those Atlantic coastal waters, like out toward Flagler County. You have the Palm Coast area. They're sitting at 50 degrees. St. Augustine at 50 degrees, 54 degrees there in the Mayport area. So kind of telling that story here as we're looking at things, as we give you guys the latest information here. I know as we look ahead toward the weekend, unfortunately, with a lot going on, like the Daytona 500 scheduled there for Sunday, and college baseball is opening weekend. It looks like could be quite a bit of schedule changes that'll be necessary because of precipitation that could be pretty widespread and heavy at times here. Maybe not necessarily severe weather expected at this point. Of course, things can change. We've seen that here before, going back not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before last year. So we'll watch. But right now, not necessarily severe weather. Could have some thunderstorm accent in there. Could be kind of cool though too, with the rain. That looks like that could be more that storyline here. It's just going to be disruptive because unlike college football, college baseball, they don't play through the rain, and neither do the Daytona 500. Even just a little bit of rain there causes big problems, makes things really slick out there, and they have to postpone. It could end up getting just, in theory, I don't know any information based on what they're talking about, but early indications based on the model, which could shift around. We've had some really not great modeling here lately, going back to a winter storm system across the country. It was off there. Had a lot of snow in areas of southeast Missouri. That didn't happen, and so a lot of snow up toward Boston, and that got shifted more toward areas of Pennsylvania and closer to New York City even. So models haven't been great lately, but could end up having that Daytona 500 pushed back to Monday here because the weather does right now look better for that President's Day. So just early indications there. Maybe it could be Sunday night. We'll see. Just kind of throwing that out there so you guys are in play in terms of having those contingency plans ready to go, making sure that your contingency plans are ready to go here. So, and same with college baseball, that might just result in some cancellations even, or they might play double headers there, depending on how things kind of set up. Definitely a possibility. So not great with the high rain chances for the weekend. Temperature trends and cooler now, going to warm up some. It's kind of that El Nino pattern in this time of year in general, a lot of times, but warming up and then going back down after that next system comes through. I know could have some wintry weather in Georgia somewhere. We shall see. It's too early to know about that. Right now, not necessarily seeing anything of that variety for our viewing circle here, but we'll watch. I know you just think back here, I mean, going back this time in, I believe it was 1899, we had about the coldest weather we've ever seen in recorded history towards some areas in the Sunshine State. So that kind of tells the story. I mean, I'm talking about reading in Tallahassee, I believe that was -2, I want to say. They're back in 1899. We're not going to get anything like that, not even expecting at this point freezing temperatures in most of our area as we look ahead. So that's good news if you like not too cold of weather here, but definitely interesting to kind of mention there that this time of year can still be the coldest, as we saw there a very, very long time ago. So, again, let's go ahead and look at some of the graphics right now. I think that we want to talk about something we haven't talked about in a little while here, and that's Hurricane Idalia. It did retain its major hurricane status in history here as they gone ahead and did that post-analysis to the National Hurricane Center in Miami. And they're going to continue to call this a Cat 3 storm, but they found, we talked about this even when it was happening pretty much, that it was kind of losing some of its really more forceful characteristics. Of course, the storm surge, that didn't really lose steam here. It was still very, very significant for our area, but in the meteorology of things, it was starting to kind of weaken a little bit on approach. A lot of the systems lately in the past year have been strengthening our approach here. So initially they were saying it made landfall with 125 max sustained winds just under Cat 4 strength, but they brought it down now and the post-analysis and the after report, per se, after action report, if you want to call it that, down to 115 miles an hour, the max sustained winds. So just right on that major hurricane tipping point there, just to major hurricane Cat 3 range. And then the minimum pressure, the lower it is, the stronger the storm. That was brought up 1 millibar. Now, they don't really have a lot of data out there, honestly, right at the coast, but just based on what happened just inland there, the numbers were not really even from the anemometers weren't even getting to 100 miles an hour. Still a very significant storm. I don't want to downplay it by any stretch of the imagination, but just in the meteorology of things here, it was very significant for our area, but it was something that could have actually been worse here, because generally we've had storms been strengthening here. They've been strengthening here on approach over the last several years, and this one was weakening here just a little bit. Still, that storm surge was catastrophic, really, though, for some of our areas there. I mean, think of Horseshoe Beach there, the devastation. Think of areas there. You had a big landfall there on Keaton Beach. Cedar Key was hit very hard as well. We've talked about this. You have areas there. Steenhatchee, you had a river there go up so fast. With that water, rising there, and this was a deadly storm here overall, and some fatalities there coming out of it. It wasn't like Hurricane, and it hit a less populated area, but it still hit part of our 62 counties. They're very, very hard, and the recovery process is still ongoing, and our thoughts and prayers remain there for those impacted by this storm that really impacted Taylor County, Lafayette County, all the trees that fell there. You have a Dixie County, that storm surge there, Madison County, they got hit hard as well. This was still a very big deal in a storm that it hit an area that didn't get hit too often by storms like this, that's strong. So still a very big deal, even though it was brought down a little bit in the after report there, the after action report, the post analysis per se. So again, just kind of bringing that information to you here as we're looking at things right now. So again, going to go ahead and keep looking here at some of the information that we do have for you in the future with the forecast. And you can see here, I put the note in to sit and go to the snow. We're wintry weather as well here with the QPF. But, Weather Prediction Center rainfall forecast next 7 days. This is indicating here that rainfall could impact the Daytona 500. Unfortunately, it could cause it. We're not going to go and race through that. So that Daytona 500 on Sunday could get moved around some. Could get moved to Monday in theory. And then college baseball here could end up having games moved to double headers, or some canceled or scheduled for later in the year. It's hard to say exactly, since you open a weekend, a little bit bigger crowd sometimes. Not great to have some disruptions. The rain chances look pretty high, especially Saturday. They look the highest for our covered area, but later Friday to the west, and then Sunday, some of that in our southern areas, which could still be really impacting that Daytona 500. The bulk of this rain falling during that Friday late period into Sunday here. So you can see that purple indicative of some areas near Gainesville, Ocala, maybe about 1.5 to 2 inches, something like that. So again, just kind of telling the story here. Just kind of telling that story here for sure, as we're looking to more parts of north central Florida. So again, I just want to make note of that here as we give you that. And of course, we're always on top of things for our 62 counties. We're breaking in a little bit there on Monday. We had that plus putting this outside of there even more pronounced. We had a lot of rain areas like Blakely there, but and southwest Georgia, and that's our Lake Counties region, but just outside Houston, County, Alabama, they got hit very, very hard. There were water rescues that had to take place there in that area, and they got hit about as hard as you can get hit in this part of the country by flash flooding here this time of year. Just not what you want to see out there, but we were watching things in our area. We were watching we had a thunderstorm warning pop up later in the day in Marine County. But then as we look ahead, I know we'll be watching just in case anything gets crazy over the weekend here. Right now, nothing looks like severe or in terms of maybe a higher flooding threat. We're not seeing that right now. That could always change. We know how that goes around here, but the local's blue right now, and that's good news, of course. I know we'll continue to watch things. And go ahead. And right now, though, I think it'd be a good thing to do, and that would be So that 7-day forecast, and that so you see that Valentine's Day here on this Wednesday. Happy Valentine's Day out there, everybody. Maybe about the first one to wish you that here in 2024. But it looks pretty cool today. Not that bad though. I mean, you see here, I mean, 67 for the high. I mean, you see 73 on that Thursday, 73 on that Friday there. So warming up some, a little bit of rain starting to inch back into the picture though. And again, that could be an issue for baseball Friday. We'll see. Maybe not. Maybe we get lucky there. Maybe a day for a doubleheader earlier in the day, possibly. I'm thinking about FSU baseball here more than anything right now in that regard. I did go and graduate from FSU, so sorry Gator fans out there, but I know you guys have games here as well, but and just in the overall college baseball world, I didn't double check to see if I would think they'd be at home on opening weekend there, the Gators, but I know FSU is there in Tallahassee, and then as we look towards Saturday, you can see it's not looking good in terms of the rain. It looks like a day where it's going to be tough to be playing college baseball, whether it's in Jacksonville or Gainesville or Tallahassee, wherever across the area. I don't know if it's going to happen, quite honestly, on that Saturday. So that could have been a pretty good crowd. And that looks kind of unlikely right now based on all the modeling. That can always change, but you can see here on that Sunday, looking there, the rain chances down to 50%, but again, that's a little bit, I mean, it's going to be more toward our southern areas, and that means like just outside of area in Volusia County there, there's rain chances a little bit higher, so that could be a problem for the Daytona 500. Hopefully things change. I know people plan their whole years around stuff like that. Things could shift around here, but it's going to be pretty cool. 57 for the high, and then on Monday here, 64. On Tuesday here, 68. Of course, Monday's President's Day. It's starting to get that rain chance to lessen here. At least we're not, I mean, if we had rain and air that was a little bit cooler than this, and of course, I mean, this it's not looking like it's going to happen or anything like that at this point, but can you imagine if there was ice at Daytona, and that wouldn't be good. I mean, that's not in the forecast by any stretch of the imagination down there. I'm just thinking, I mean, these temperatures are a little bit cooler, and you had precip around. I mean, they wouldn't be going racing in that freezing rain, that's for sure, but we're not expecting that anywhere around our area here at this point in our coverage zone. We'll watch. There's always that chance, outside chance here, maybe just north of the area of some flurries. We'll see. But right now, nothing that's really catching our eye here at this point. That's really looking pretty clear and modeling. We're not seeing that big of a hint of that even. So just interesting though as we look. You can see here these averages. I mean, we'll be getting above average, and it's kind of the same old deal. We go from below average to above average, and we have showers slash storms, and then you go back down to below average and back to average again. That's kind of how it's been going here. That up and down roller coaster pattern around the region here. So right now, nothing that's overwhelming looking in our forecast here. Now, the chance is very, very long range. Maybe near the end of the month, in about 2 weeks, maybe we have a bigger system with a setup toward parts of the country that's more prominent. Of course, that we weren't even sure on the threats here lately. I mean, going back, I mean, last Sunday, not this past Sunday, but last Sunday, their Pro Bowl, I guess you could call it Sunday per se, just to kind of, we'll use the football analogies here. I mean, they got lucky down there in the Orlando area, but then our area got hit very hard with multiple 6 tornadoes, I believe, is what we ended up having here across our region. We had a margin of risk, not even for everybody. We had hail in a lot of places, so I mean, stuff can overachieve, and we had a slight risk back on Monday. That underachieved a little bit in terms of the severe characteristics, wind and tornado, but we did have the flash flooding there, that threat. But then as you look back at Sunday, that underachieved the enhanced risk. We had the 3 out of 5 for Super Bowl Sunday. That underachieved, but we had a tornado risk there where we didn't get maybe a lot of reports. We had quite a few tornado warnings around Houston Sunday morning into the afternoon. So just crazy when you look at the weather pattern here overall. Things are up and down here, and sometimes the forecast to work out well. Sometimes they're a little bit up or down here in terms of being a little bit I mean, you kind of have to give it a room for error here, per se, a margin of error with the forecast here. The models, as I noticed, are having a tough time here with some of the systems across the country. There's a theory going around here, and I haven't had a chance to really evaluate it too much, But it kind of makes sense from some of the stuff I've seen here. That it seems like there's more attention being focused within the model guidance on the tropics here, and maybe less with systems across the country, across the continental U.S. They're maybe not getting as much data into the modeling for some areas here to track like a winter storm or some other setup. So it's kind of frustrating here, modeling having this big of an issue here lately across the country. But it would seem maybe there's been more emphasis on the tropics, which have been very active here the last several years, and we can use all the help we can get with that. So that could be a cause. It hadn't really been something that I've had a chance to dive in too much, but in theory, on the top, at least, that would make sense here. That could be the reasoning behind what's going on here with some issues with the modeling lately. There's been more emphasis, more data being put into where the different, especially the Atlantic Basin here, really more than anything, into the modeling and less about what's actually happening overland. Of course, tropical systems don't develop overland really. We had that one time kind of back in 2016, but that's a story for a different day. But kind of at least initially it had. I think they changed that in post analysis. But point is here, you just have to kind of just try the best you can here with these forecasts. But definitely lately here, sometimes the data not coming in as well overland and but more of that coming in from the waters. And again, we've had these systems, these tropical systems here. At least we've had some hints of some big problems. I mean, maybe not right there a week out, but at least we've had some heads up here. We haven't been completely caught off guard here too often in the Atlantic Basin now. In the Pacific, we had a big problem there last year. The hurricane ahead of the Cat 5 there toward Mexico. And that's an area where we wouldn't have as much data maybe being poured into the modeling. But I know, so it's kind of still a give and take here for sure. But as we look here, as we look at the information. So again, just thanks so much for tuning in here tonight. I see Daniel watching. Thanks for watching here, Daniel. They're on YouTube. But again, let's go ahead and see here our overall radar review here. Again, nothing on the radar in terms of precip here. As we look at that here at this hour, I'll go ahead and zoom out a little bit. And you'll see the temperatures. I mean, nothing too crazy here. I mean, we had that winter storm in the northeast. There's still some lingering moisture, it looks like here. So some snow showers here. And we got another winter system kind of track across here later on in the timeline areas further up. That could be a storyline for them. I mean, but I'll go back 4 hours and you don't see a lot here, but you will be able to see somewhat here the winds, the pressure pattern, if I put that on here. As we're looking as that kind of is retreating. I mean, seeing pressures here, 970 there. That's hurricane, pretty strong hurricane type pressure, but it's a winter weather setup, a low pressure this time of year. Different as this was 4 hours ago. This is current. Now they go ahead and zoom back on in here. I mean, that Hurricane Otis last year really caught everybody by surprise there, and that was in the Pacific. So again, something we're not getting as much data maybe and put it into the modeling here. This is kind of one theory. It makes stuff to be researched. That's why we have like students there, and there may be real there may be more information here that kind of supports that if I kind of do a little bit deeper dive. But let's have graduate students at universities here. I mean, that's something they can kind of research on maybe a better way to get the data into the modeling here. I mean, just kind of throwing stuff out there here really late at night. But anyhow, just going to go ahead, I think, wrap it up here at this point. Again, let me go ahead and remind you guys of the different platforms that we're on here. Facebook, Casey Cloud over to X Cloud to Weather, Twitter / Exit Cloud Casey, YouTube at Cloud to Weather, Twitch Cloud to Weather, cloudweather.com. I know sometimes we see the model shift a little, and for the Northeast, there's so many populated areas so close together, but I mean, it's not just about a little bit of a shift there. I mean, it had big impacts. I mean, pretty short-term shift there, and because there's just so many folks in that area. But I mean, you got to go back. I mean, in the Midwest, we're having problems with it. I mean, stuff was really shifting around. I mean, instead of getting several inches, you don't get anything, or vice versa. that Roy can kind of change your plans around. By the way, we had it on there heading into the update, but rip current threat there toward Franklin County on that Wednesday there, the overall pattern according to what this over Tallahassee. What to know, we've kind of had the windy weather here going back. It's start to kind of calm down a little bit. Those winds here out there as we do look ahead. It was definitely breezy there on that Tuesday. So, but that's kind of something more. We'll still see a little bit of wind around. Looks like a north wind 5 to 8 miles an hour is what weather service Tallahassee. Excuse me, weather service Jacksonville has toward north central Florida on that Wednesday here. So again, kind of telling that story for you guys as we're looking. I mean, that wind there from the north to the south here, bringing that core air here. I know when you have severe weather setups, a lot of times that wind direction, you have the wind come from the south, bringing in a more moist and more warm type air mass here, which definitely can be an interesting storyline here and get more stronger weather, severe weather. As I know, at least we have these lulls here. I mean, when you get to summertime, you're not going to have as many lulls, maybe with those afternoon storms. So enjoy the up and down while you can, because it's going to be more of a redundant, warmer pattern as we get towards summertime, which is, I mean, really, I know technically a little bit further than this, but about 3 months away, really, from getting those afternoon storms, those sea breeze boundaries to really become prominent. So, again, just kind of throwing it out there. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And I know President's Day coming up next week. We'll be up with another update late Thursday, though. So tune in then on all the different platforms that you have there. I know you have the interactive radar available, clarity.com/radar, to give you a look at things when we're not on as well. So that's something that's a useful resource, I think. You can even look at some model guidance there if you switch some things around. I know that's presented on the home page there, some of the website, but you can get to it from there as well if you just toggle some stuff. So, and I'll be updating something there as we're looking toward that tropic tab in terms of that information and the post analysis, because we had preliminary 125 mile an hour winds of the Dahlia, running those down to 115 miles an hour at the max sustained. So still a major hurricane, though. That's important. It was a possibility they could have brought it even lower, but there just wasn't enough data here. You had the hurricane hunters in there finding this stuff earlier on before it got to the coast. So they just wanted to they didn't have enough to really bring it down too far. But in history, it's going to go down unless something changes. I know they changed things at the end of years later, but Idalia is going to go down as a major hurricane landfall in our covered area toward that area there around Keaton Beach. So, I mean, it was definitely, the storm surge was definitely something that would be catastrophic. The wind damage was very significant in Perry, but that storm surge there, that was catastrophic around Horseshoe Beach there. Just devastation for that area there. As I would kind of think back on what happened toward some of these different areas here. That was Dixie County, Horseshoe Beach there. I mean, just kind of real quick here, I just did this up for you guys from the graphic source, just reminding you guys there of what happened back at the end of August with that storm surge coming on through. And this is what we were dealing with there toward that area along the Gulf Coast. The damage, some of it's been fixed, but I mean, there's still some repairs that still have to be made here. As I mean, this was about here, I'm gonna pull it up 3 weeks or so after it came through. And you can see just piles of rubble there per se in some spots. Not every spot. You see some homes are still standing, but I mean, there was damage as you were looking, depending on exactly where you're at. But definitely a storyline there, and then that wind damage there. We had that in the Dallin Park area, even in Suwannee County, where they had an extreme wind warning, the National Weather Service, Jacksonville, jurisdiction area. So, I mean, that kind of tells a story. Of course, wind was even, in some cases, maybe a little bit stronger toward, as you're looking at a map, that Perry, of course, we had that 43-degree temperature reading right now. But look at that wind there. We had this during our live coverage there during Idalia, 8:30 a.m. on that August Wednesday there, that last Wednesday there in August. And you can see here, this is what we were talking about as things really came on through and caused big problems here for folks. I mean, just keeping everybody in our thoughts and prayers still as we look on back there, that August 30th, 2023. I mean, It was such a big event here for our area, for sure. And again, we're not seeing anything in the tropics right now in February. Generally, don't get that type of development, so that's good news. We are going to switch though from El Nino. It looks like the more neutral to maybe La Nina, which could promote more activity across the basin in general. Doesn't mean it'll be here. Doesn't mean it won't be here, but there'll be more chances at least, probably more stronger type systems here. But that's something that's we're not going to have to worry about here, at least for 3 to 4 months at the very minimum, maybe more the peak hurricane season towards September. But that'll do it for now. Have a great night, everybody, and enjoy that Valentine's Day.